What's up? What's up? So this is Infinite Ammo Gley. This can boss, it can mob, it can clear everything in the game solo. Has a bunch of HP. This is the tanky version, by the way. There is a more damage-oriented version, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And this is also not Turbo Max. We can still go a decent little bit further. And I'll touch on that in a later video. Wanted something for the endgame for y'all, so you can enjoy the good old clapping up of the Colossi. I have been working on this for about 3 days since day one. We had a quality individual send out pretty much a cheat sheet of the skill cooldown that they think would end up working with Super Sense. And within that time, we had a big old video pop up from Dorfess. And there were a lot of things that I was running, that he was running. And so I sent my man a message. We might have conversated for a little bit. And by a little bit, I mean 4 hours. We just, played the game, talked about the build a bit, and we exchanged some ideas. So we have been grinding, trying to get to the infinite ammo. And now our cooldown is actually lower than our duration. Now this is going to allow us to go ahead and loop using increased sensory when we are in frenzy, which is going to look something a little bit like this. So we're able to loop the ammo infinitely as long as we have HP. We see that our cooldown is 7.9. We have way too much cooldown. Being within 1 second of the duration works out pretty well because she has a whole animation that she has to get off. It may not be as clean of a loop as you saw a little bit before, but it still will give you minimal downtime. So how are we achieving this cooldown? So inside previous videos, we took a look at quality reactors, skill duration up, as well as skill cooldown. Since the skill cooldown starts off at 40, we go for a skill cooldown as the main thing, and then we supplement with duration. So this is on base Gley, and we have a ultimate Gley setup, which is the one that you saw inside the video. I wanted to do a basic Gley as well, so that way everybody can hop in on the fun. This is the setup that we have running right here. Skill extension, maximum duration, MP conversion, nimble fingers, and then we have both applications of focus on non-attribute as well as dimension. So since we do have too much cooldown, you only need one of these in order to go ahead and get the loop that you want to go ahead and get. So let's do that real quick. Just to add to the visual real fast. So it's still a very, very nice loop, and it frees up some spots. So you can see that we don't have a whole lot of space left in order to add some HP as well as some defense to allow us to actually, play the game. This build is one that you're actually going to have to invest a little bit of your resources. And I am running this on Ultimate Gley. Ultimate Gley comes with 2 more polarity slots, so 4 in total. Has 2 new mods that you can utilize, as well as has 1,800 more base defense. So with all the information about doing the infinite loop, let's go ahead and talk about what we're going to be abusing with the infinite ammo gameplay. So we have the Vestigial launcher. What you want to go ahead and find for this are the elements that apply a dot. That's going to be electric, that's going to be toxin, as well as fire. Cold does decent, but there's a couple other things that end up holding it back. And one of those big things is it doesn't help apply damage. We have explosive attack, which is very vital. And then we have bonus firearm attack versus Colossus. Recoil is not something that you really want to search for. For your 4th slot, the best thing that's going to synergize with this build is going to be attribute status effect trigger rate. Now you can increase this, and if you do increase this, you're going to get more dots, which will lead to a combination with something like electric conductor. So under the effect of electrocution, you're able to add even more firearm damage, and this will be something that you would swap out Defense Master for if you want to push the damage of the build even further. But it is going to be an expensive thing because you want to go ahead and swap out the conductor You want to swap out the enhancement as well as the priority to the element that the enemy is weak to. So outside of these elemental boosts, there's not much that would be good to go ahead and add to the Vestigial launcher. It has a 1% crit rate, which you can see here. Crit damage isn't great either, and hitting a weak point with a rocket launcher can happen, but it's not really the thing that you want to lean towards inside of building the weapon. So we have rifling reinforcement at 32%. We have the electric enhancement for when we do end up fighting enemies that are weak to electricity. Otherwise, we would be swapping this with the element that they're weak to. We have action and reaction. We have fire rate up. Electric priority is capitalizing off of all the electric damage that we have inside of the weapon right now. And to wrap it up, we have defense master. Now, defense master is very good. When we are fighting bosses, we are going to get that 120% defense increase when they end up spawning those mobs like the roly-polies. That's going to make us extremely tanky for that period of time. And with only a 6-second downtime, we're going to be able to eat up hits, heal back by picking up some good old ores as well as some other items on the ground. And we have another means of healing inside the modules, which we're going to get to in a second. For our other weapons, we are rocking the Tamer, a fantastic machine gun to go ahead and spray and pray, and we can blow up some packs of enemies as well. Like when those little partial hardening enemies pop up, bring out the Tamer and that can get rid of that. And then the different dreams for the more precise long range fights that we want to go on. I didn't end up using this much at all. And something that you can do is just throw in a rifle or throw in whatever weapon here and just level up the mastery. This slot is pretty flexible. One weapon that I think can be really good for this is going to be the sniper rifle that ends up debuffing the enemy, but this is going to take a little bit to grind. So for our Tamer, you can build critical hit rate as well as critical hit damage, but it's a situation where it does not have much at all. It has a decent fire rate though, and since we're shooting it infinitely, it can end up working. Right now, leaning more towards just the flat damage increase and then go into weak point because you can hit those more consistently than the crits because it is pure RNG. If you do end up adding more capacity to it, you can start even dabbling around with more elemental damage and play around with some different conductors and see how you enjoy that. So the main thing that I like about the Tamer side of this setup is because of the mental focus mod. We have a lower fire rate, but each shot that we shoot out, we're getting that 0.5%. Now, I'm going to go ahead and show you this. Let's go infinite with it. And you're looking beside the character, you're seeing that number increase on that little green icon. And we're able to loop that indefinitely. As long as we have HP, of course. But you see that we are at 150 the whole time, which means you can get up to max stacks and mow down enemies. This right here has been working out really well against the different bosses. This did help out with the solos, but there is a long way that this machine gun can go if you want to soup it up for this build. I would say that this is second to the launcher because the launcher handles mobbing as well, but this is a fantastic second weapon inside this setup. Now, the different dream, we already talked about this being more of a flex slot, but the different dream in particular is good because of its high crit rate. Starts off at about 55, and then the critical hit damage is also good. So this is something that you would 100% start building crit into in order to get higher modifiers and blow up the enemies. So you guys wanted an Ultimate Gley build. So here we have Ultimate Gley with a whole lot of maxed out mods that I was grinding between the last video and this one, which is one of the reasons why this one's a little bit behind schedule. So there's a lot of things that look the same. There's a few things that look different. One big thing that we're missing is the red mod right here. We're running around utilizing the mod. It's like predatory instinct, predatory behavior, one of those two. The one that increases your fire rate as you are in frenzy. That's what it says. But the way it actually works is as you're in frenzy and shooting, it increases the amount of attack you deal. But what it does is it removes your explosive attack and gives you like 2 layers of firearm attack. So for the rocket, you start off doing less damage, and then as you're shooting the rocket a bit, you end up doing more damage. There's not much more at the end, and it's not a whole lot less at the beginning, which means it pretty much evens out, and so you're just wasting points to a degree. And I don't know if this is going to get changed in the future. Of course, if you grab it, just hold on to it. But I leveled it up, and I did not feel like it was helping me at all. I felt like it was actually griefing the build. With a recent test that I just did, with the test I did probably like an hour ago, just to make sure everything was good to go. I say that because we have another surprise that's going to come up in the next few minutes. So, found this accelerated drive shaft. Since we have a rocket launcher out 99% of the time, we are going to be moving incredibly slow. So mostly we roll or we use a grappling hook. Why not roll around and get more fire rate and more damage? This has made sense to me. There is a firepower one as well that costs a little bit more. I will be playing around with those two, figuring out which one is better and if the other one even works. And that will be in the super, it might not be a super duper min-max version of the build, but it will be a more perfected version. And then we have the HP collector. This is the best mod here. The reason is we have all been in a situation on Gley where we haven't got hit at all and we're about to die, which is just literally how the character is working now because they got rid of our regen. So this fixes that issue. If you're fighting a Colossi, you see a roly-poly, you can kill one, you can leave the others up. 4 seconds later, you can kill it and get another 9%. So in those instances where you killed 2 roly-polies, you're getting 18% of your HP back. Let's just round that bad boy up to 20% for quick math. And so you're healing about 4,700 HP. Or we'll just say about 4,000 HP is how much you're healing. And that's why we stack HP as much as we do. And it is very, very, very nice. It makes those Colossi fights easier. This can go down to 2 seconds, which means you are going to be swimming in HP. You combining this with the defense master on the launcher gives you so much effective HP. It is very, 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 very hard to die. So here's the surprise right here. So this is Dorfess's Gley. We tweaked some things around, and my man had more than enough points, more than enough polarity slots to fill this thing to the brim. Fill it to the absolute brim with the build. So he likes using the mid-air maneuvering hook. I might end up using the one that's a little bit shorter, but it doesn't really matter too much because most of the time I roll. But for the most part, it's the exact same thing. Inside of the slot where he has agony, he was talking about using resistance and kind of adding like burn immunity or poison immunity depending on what he ends up fighting. So it's the same situation as it being a flex slot. So you can just change and adjust it to whatever is better for that particular fight or whatever you're running into. And we also talked about potentially using some different red mods. And I think that is going to be something that we end up changing on this setup a decent little bit. He was also trying to farm this one particular set that gives you 25% more defense for the good old external components, but it is such a low drop rate, it might not be the move. Plus I have some other ideas for some stuff that might end up giving us some more damage, and that is being tested pretty soon. So let's go ahead and show the reactor again, and we're going to look at the external components. So here, max HP, defense, and then we have the skill duration. This is completely irrelevant. And we got a few other 2-piece sets and 4-piece sets that we're playing around with that we'll get to you soon. Here, defense. Consumable drop rate increase modifier. I feel like this should help us out with the HP packs, but it's something that I guess it's kind of hard to test too, because you're going to need a large sample size in order to figure this out. But having resistance to the enemy that you're fighting, fantastic. Here we have HP and defense and resistance, and as part of the 2-piece set, very hard to beat. Then here we have some toxin resistance, and I still have not looked up what Eseim display time is. That might be the thing where you end up pressing tab, if I remember correctly. But yeah, these are what we have. You're just looking for max HP, defense, and resistance are the core things that you're looking for your external components. And there are some 2-piece sets that are going to be pretty nice farming up. Well, that's it for me. If you have any questions about anything, you go ahead and let me know. And if you want some more cool old videos, I'm gonna keep on pumping these things out. And I guess it's easier to just subscribe so you see the little notification when those things drop, and you don't gotta, come back every day hoping something comes through. Adios.